I am going to start with my Indian colleagues first because I would like to speak to the Armenian architects and possibly extend the discussion a little more for the knowledge of all of us. So I will start with Prasanjit. Your exposure to international culture and architecture and architects started along with your academics and continued with a lot of travel around the world, perhaps. Had any of this been incorporated in your work? Or what are your thoughts about it?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Good evening to everyone. I come from a city called Lucknow. It is the capital city of the northern state of Uttar Pradesh in India. And why I am telling you this is it has a great influence of Persian architecture, culture, in the buildings which the Nawabs of Awadh made. And after them, the British influence had an imprint in the monuments and buildings of Lucknow. And again, now if we see the advent of postmodernism, modernism, now again, as we see in all the cities of the world, Lucknow is also has been part of it, completely lost the cultural values, and we are also emulating what others are doing and designing and making and constructing buildings which can we easily say glass-cladded buildings or say anything which can be designed and made anywhere. The cultural values we are already losing. So I'm just adding to what you're saying, sir. It was not the part of thing, but I wanted to say that. Yes, definitely, sir. My getting exposure by learning in the college about history of architecture of different eras and places, it influenced me. And whether traveling around the world or traveling around in India also, it has influenced me. And I've tried to incorporate certain characteristics in my projects, whether in terms of architecture or in interiors. When I, just an instance, when I visited Venice, and I saw the vibrancy, the vibrant colors, which were, vibrant colors were used in the building facades. So I tried to incorporate not in the building facades, but in the interiors of the buildings. And thanks to Greenland, the wonderful colors they have introduced. So I am trying to incorporate and I've done a lot in my interiors. And one very interesting thing in 2017, I visited Sikkim, sir. And I was greatly influenced by the Tibetan architecture. And I got an opportunity to design a hotel in Uttarakhand. That too has a, if you say, kind of same topography. The Tibet, and of course, it's very far from Tibet, but the topography you see is the same.
Yeah, similar, yeah.
So I tried to incorporate certain characteristics into that hotel building, which I was very influenced by when I visited Sikkim. That is I have a little thing I wanted to say and share about the insights what you have asked me, sir.
Thank you. So my next question is to Sanjeev. I am asking you if there are specific instances of cultural or design influences from something that is not particularly Indian, something that is foreign, which has deeply influenced you, and you have wanted to or tried to use it in your work. It could be, it doesn't matter what sort of building it is. It could be residential work or whatever, but how have you been influenced? And you can talk about that.
Very good evening, sir. As just we have seen that Greenply is making all sustainable materials. So similarly, our buildings are also sustainable. And I say sustainability refers to the integration of environmental, social, and economic consideration into the design and the construction of the building. The project must be sensitive to the surrounding, taking into account physical, cultural, historical, and ecological aspects of the surrounding and the region. Now, what exactly the culture means to me? Surprisingly, I am making the buildings where we have the multi-generations, even as the 4th generation living in a single residence building. The 4th generation, and when I speak to them directly and take little more information from them, they are very different in their nature because their social status, social thinking and the living style is very different. For example, one of them was the head of the family was the chief of the village of the surrounding area. And you will be surprised, I was asked to design that building in such a fashion that I had to design an independent area for that person where he used to meet from 8 o'clock to at least 2 o'clock in the morning and serving them snacks, dinner and solving all the local problems. So this is a challenge comes to the architect where he has to design and integrate this kind of area into the whole of the building with the rest of the building. At the same time, there was one more second challenge. In that case, that was also the 4th generation building, the 4 generations. And the head of the family, he was very religious. And they say, every week we have to perform the Havan in the family. And it was surprising that every week they used to perform the Havan in the family. And they said that Yagshala, my house has to be built in such a fashion that the Yagshala is the center core of my house and the building around that. It was surprising, but we could make that. The thirdly, still I remember that the one of the head of the family, he was very fond of the greenery. It was quite a big house, and he was saying that I want to live my life almost the whole of the day looking at the greenery. So that means I say how to solve in the architecture design. He says outside the house, you design an area for me where I can just sit there and look at my whole of the ground. Surprisingly, and where that all family members, they sit together, they discuss, and they enjoy the landscaping of that area. So this is all the solution has to come from the architect only. So this was the one example where I was having a very different kind of requirement for the head of the family. In the second case, if you look at, there was also one of the very interesting thing where the two families were living together. And they say we have the common kitchen, we have the common living area, we have the common thing, but still we want to have the independence in our the living area. So that architecturally the solution has to come where the family has to interact, where the independence is also there. So I conclude the culture thing, it really influenced the design the most, and we are architects are the responsible for this, and we must consider all these important factors into our design. Thank you.
I just want to add a bit. When we talk about architecture in India, India is a very diverse country. So it is possibly for the benefit of the host, I want to add that we have multiple languages, we have multiple religions and different cultures. So from the south of the country to the north of the country, there's tremendous amount of variation. And this, not just variation, weather factors. So there are areas where the rainfall is so high, your architecture has to address that. There are areas where the temperatures are so high, you have to address that. And then you have small areas with snow and cold and all that. So it's a very, very, so what he was talking about was a bit of that, which may not be easily understood. So I thought I should explain. Okay, I'm moving on to Pankaj now. Pankaj, in this age of transformative architecture, facades, what do you think of the role of exterior laminates?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. While I was traveling from hotel to this space, I saw a lot of beautiful Armenian architecture, facades. I mean, pink stones, I think, are very popular here. So in India also, we have a lot of facade options. But my liking is more on organic materials, stones preferably. But there are times in limited spaces, small towns, we don't have those available materials. And that is when I feel laminates or a similar artificial product could be a boom for us. It's more
Less maintenance.
Sorry?
Less maintenance.
Less maintenance, easy procurement, easy accessibility, maybe transportation. Also, stones need a lot of skill, artisans to pull off those facades. It's very heavy material, very difficult to grind it, polish it, and that takes a lot of time. I think laminates would come out easily and probably mimic very similar to what stone looks like. In fact, I would share a thing with you. I'm doing a project where my client wants stone, natural stone for the facade. It's around 10,000 square feet. And I've been looking around for a single lot, and I'm not getting it. It's, you get 2,000 square feet of one lot of stone. Then there's variations in stones. And so I suggested him that why not do a artificial thing which looks like stone, and probably he has agreed, and I think that's when laminate will help me. It's a versatile product. You can do screens, I think jalis you can make out of it, water jet cuttings and CNC cuttings, so there are a lot of options. And also dry cladding is another facility that supports laminates. I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I will start with you, sir. I'm not very good with remembering names, so you live in a city with a formidable history. How do you see external influences in the current design exercise? Not just necessarily yours, but as what's happening in your city or in the rest of your country. Would you like to speak on that?
Thank you. Good evening to everyone and greetings from Georgia. First of all, thank you to Greenland to having this spectacular evening. That's better. So greetings from Georgia, and first of all, thank you to Greenland to having this spectacular evening today. About the special points of the architects in Georgia, main point what we are facing is the same what you just now mentioned, that we have different type of reliefs in Georgia. Mostly we have mountains and different temperatures, and we are pushed to somehow adopt and to get these natural results. And mostly also the Georgia are the Orthodox country, and we have the huge influence coming from the church and the architectural characters coming from this side. So mostly we are trying right now nowadays to somehow keep our traditions, keep our lines, and to have and transform it somehow in the modern architectural finishes and lookups. So I think that we are doing right now quite our best to somehow to meet the expectations of the customer, to mix the old traditions to the new arrivals, to the new trends. And yeah, we are trying somehow to manage this. And I think the most valuable results we are getting when we somehow combining our traditions, our lines of the past to the lines of the future. So I think that in these perspectives, our company tries our maximum, and Greenland helps us with this different type of the materials, different variety of the products, somehow to balance this and to have the high quality products with different type of the textures, colors, and this is just awesome. So thank you guys for what you are doing, and I think that in future we can do quite big projects, and we will achieve high points. That's what I wanted to say, and thank you everyone once again, and nice to be here. Thank you.
Let me apologize. I didn't know you're from Georgia. I thought you were from this city.
It's okay.
I've heard Georgia is very beautiful, and in fact, I wanted to visit Georgia from here, but I was told I couldn't get a visa because there are too many tourists. So
You
maybe
missed,
some other
you
time.
missed too many because last year I remember that we had the same event in Georgia. Greenland held
Okay.
this, and we have the presentation of the new brand of new mica. So it was in Georgia, and I think that every guests right now, maybe the same persons who are attending right now, they were in Georgia, and yeah, it's very beautiful. Not from my point of view, but overall, yeah, we have like great architecture, and it's like mixed and different type of the influence from European and the Asian side. So overall, it's very, very beautiful and creates some special atmosphere. And I am really like grateful to live there and to be a Georgian. So yeah, thank you for
Thank you
everyone.
very much. Yeah. Either way. Oh, you're from the same company. So you're from Armenia. You're from here. Okay. So this is my first visit to your city. The drive from the airport to the city was not very attractive, but the drive from the hotel to here was beautiful. You know, we saw tree-lined streets, broad pavements, reminded me a little bit of Barcelona. I wanted to ask you, can you tell us about, are there European influences in the current thinking, or how is the design fraternity going forward?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Armenia, our Georgian and Indian friends, first of all. And this is kind of complicated question because, yes, Armenia is a developing country. Honestly, for us, it's very sad to see this road from airport to Yerevan because it's not very beautiful, and we hope that it will be developed in future. But yes, when you come to the city center and see beautiful architecture, especially in Soviet times, so 40s, 50s, 60s, it's very beautiful. And you see the influence from Armenian architecture. How did they transformed, developed this old Armenian architecture mixed with some European architecture. This was a very beautiful period. And for me as an architect, as a designer who is creating mostly HoReCa projects over 25 years, restaurants, hotels, cafes, for me the influence, first of all, is the theme, the concept. Our thinking is coming from the concept. The main thing in our life is the concept. And depending on the concept, you're trying to do something very new, very attractive, something which is never done. And sure, your national presence and your national thinking is very important. Sure, we are Armenians, we are thinking different. They're Georgians thinking different, but you're Indians. And talking about the Indian culture, which is very, very close to me, because I was listening to Indian music all my life till now. I know all your amazing composers and musicians, and your philosophy, everything. Yes, India is an amazing country with an amazing culture, multinational, multi-religion country.
Yes, that's true.
Our country is mono-ethnic country.
Yes.
We are Armenians living here. Sure, lots of Indians now are living in Armenia, and we are very happy to see them. But we are mono-ethnic country. This is very important thing, and this is what make us think different. we're trying to think different.
Okay.
Okay, we're trying to find new solutions in different designs, architecture. We're trying to mix different cultures. We are trying to do something modern, and in putting in this some our national notes. Okay. And our influence is coming from, first of all, from our Armenian architecture, from our nature.
So just to intervene, is the usage of stone still very prevalent in modern architecture here?
For me, it's very important
Okay.
because natural materials all over the world are number one.
Yes.
Now we're trying to use some modern materials like HPL, like some aluminum boards, or some I don't know, imitations of wood, which is some fiber, which is very interesting for us to create something new. But when you compare, for example, Western architects from United States, UK, and other countries, you see they are coming back to natural materials.
Yeah. You're right.
I was working 10, 15 years ago, I was working with an American architect, Claudia Design from New York, and I saw how was she using natural materials. She fell in love with our basalt, our stone, with our volcanic tuff, and she was saying, "Are you crazy to use anything else? You have such an amazing materials, why don't you use them?"
So do you use a lot of timber, veneers?
Yes, we are using very often, but still trying to mix them with different other new materials. And that's why we are architects and designers, to create something new, something unique from raw materials. Because less is more. For me, less is more. So thank you for your question, and have a good time.
Thank you very much. I think we do have a time limitation, so I'll wind up. Thank you all. Thank you all for participating. Thank you, guys.